Hey everybody. So I wanted to do a follow-up on the video that I did about a month ago. This is going to be my second or third attempt at trying to do this, and I'm sorry that I'm now just getting around to it. Of course, the holidays have been going on, and I hope everybody had a good holiday. But the video that I did a month ago, for those that are wondering, was about my issue of trying to make sure that I had transportation to and from work. And I pointed out about the way that some of the Medicaid plans work, that because of the services that they offer, two of the services they offer are for job training and job coaching, which that's great. However, there's a third thing that's important to that aspect, and that is the issue of transportation to and from work. As many of you know, not all areas of the country have easy access to transportation, including the bus system. And as I pointed out before, I tried everything I could to find a way to get to and from work. Do I still have a job as of right now? Yes, I do. But I don't know how long that will last. I made an attempt to try to also see if I could arrange something for myself, and that, as far as Uber, and I'm not talking about the usual way, because sometimes what some people do is they say try to get a setup with a driver that they feel comfortable with so that they can always have that regular thing. However, having tried several times, including just recently, including with somebody that I thought was also a friend, it turned out to not be a good thing. And I'm going to be honest. The first time he took a further away trip, even though he told me ahead of time he was going to do that, which is fine. But now he decided he was going to take another one, but didn't bother to tell me, and then thought I was going to be able to go straight home myself. And like I tried to point out to him, given the situation of the fact that my job is part-time right now, I don't know when I'm going to be able to get back to full-time, and I am trying to transfer full-time. Yes, that will affect me losing my SSI, but given the way the economy is, we have to pay bills. And life and bills don't care about whether or not you are able to do other things. You get where I'm going with this, so I won't ramble on too much about that. But I called around before, like I said in the previous video, and I have not bothered to try again because there's nothing available easily in my community. And it's great that disability advocates want to make sure that those of us who want to work, or as in my case, who have to work, are able to get jobs and training to get to said jobs. But we also have an issue where transportation is a problem. Excuse me for that. And like I said, some areas, even though they may have quote-unquote public transportation, that doesn't mean it's easily accessible. And a lot of bus systems require you to have what they call cash fare, which means that you have to pay cash. Meaning that they don't accept debit cards, or they don't accept checks, or, of course, yes, I'm using an outdated term, but I'm using that to make a point, that for other ways to pay for the services. And unfortunately, even $4 and $5 each way, even though that may not seem like a lot, when you have bills to pay just like everybody else, well, that's a problem. So one could say, well, why don't you try to get a job closer to home? I've tried, just like I'm sure other people have tried. And given that there are not a lot of jobs out there right now, I need to make sure that I hold on to the one that I have. I've been with my company for almost 5 years, and it's important that I make sure that I am able to get to and from work. So I'm not sure how we fix this, but I know that in order for the home-based programs to be able to provide services to those who need it. If you're going to sit there and offer the job training and job coaching, which that's great, job training meaning vocational training, that's great. But you also have to include transportation to and from work. How is it that you are okay with letting people be able to go to and from the library, to grocery shopping, to a support group? All of those are wonderful things, and of course grocery shopping is important, but how are you supposed to pay for groceries if you don't have money? Remember, not everybody who's on disability is able to get food stamps, and given the rules that fall in place with regard to food stamps, if you are above a certain income threshold, whether it be one person, two persons, or 500 people, if you don't qualify, you're not going to get the food stamps. And that means even if you did, if you have no way to get to the grocery store, what are you going to do? Of course, yes, Walmart offers delivery services, but you have to pay for it. And some of the other companies do too, but again, you have to pay for those things. They're not free. And where do you get the money? Disability benefits, meaning SSI and SSDI, are not sustainable, especially SSI, given that the maximum amount this year is $9.94 for those who get that full amount. Not everybody gets that full amount, and unfortunately I am one of those, and given the rules for SSI, I got even less than most people who get the minimum for their situation. So as a result, because of that, I ended up in a position where, because of said rules, I ended up living on $600 a month. Who can live on $600 a month? Like somebody said, that's not even enough to pay for rent. So what, and guess what? You have utilities, and you have, of course, food, and, and if you have medicines, hopefully you are able to make sure that you get those. And if you can't, there are programs out there. You can find out more about some of those by checking other channels like I think lowincomerelief.com or something like that. And even through patient assistance programs through the manufacturers of the medicines that you take. But even so, you have to qualify. And unfortunately, even with all that help, again, you still have bills to pay. And that means having money. So that means some of us, and this trend will grow, that means we have to work. And guess what? That means transportation. And yes, I did call United Way. And yes, I did call Goodwill. But guess what? They have nothing available. Can you believe this? For us? And I live in a city. I won't tell you which one because that's beside the point. Because people think that just because somebody lives in a city, they have access to everything. That's not always true. People say that there are many rural areas that don't have access to these services, and that's true too. But people think that if you live in the city, that everything is easily accessible. And unfortunately for some of us, even though we may be disabled enough to get disability benefits, that doesn't mean that we have easy access to other services. How do we fix this? I don't know the answer to that. And this has to change, because if you're going to try to provide services to everybody, or you're going to try to make sure that these services are accessible to everybody, that means that we have to come up with better solutions. And, I don't know how we do it, because even though everybody wants to say the government needs to do it, they're not going to do that. That's not their job. Should it be their job? Some people think it is, but their job is to govern. Unfortunately, that's a topic for a whole other day, and I won't go into, because, we're all going to have different opinions, and some may not agree with me, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, I don't know what we do to fix this. Yes, I know I'm rambling here, but this is how much of a problem it is, because Not everybody can drive a car. Not everybody wants to drive a car. Not everybody wants to own a car. So what then? And because there are some, even for a city, that there are some places that cannot get a way to and from work, including for public transportation. I don't know. I mean, I know that for my area, just to find the bus, I have to literally walk to an area where the bus stops are. And then for the bus stop that I need to get to, I would have to walk across the street and then take the bus downtown in order to get the bus that I need to get in order to get where I'm going. And do the same thing again. And because the buses are not always on time, that means I could be late to work. Or, as is the case because of how many buses you have to take, depending on some areas, I may not get home till 3 or 4 hours after I get off work. That's not feasible. And, I mean, the country is a mess. We already know that. Some people have lost jobs because of various situations, including the state of the economy. But we need to be able to make sure that everybody is aware of the issues, even if to at least come up with the idea of solutions. You know, I have asked before in my community, and I'm going to tell you, the last time I tried to ask for community help, it ended up being such that I got blasted. And like I said, for the third time, I tried to see if I could come up with something of arranging for transportation. And like I said, this person that I thought was supposed to be a friend, he has decided that he did not want to make it work. And that's fine. I wish he would have told me straight from the start that he didn't want to do this. And that's okay. I mean, you know, just because we can try doesn't mean that it's going to be long term. And that's what I told him. I said, this is not something permanent. I was hoping to get this before, you know, at least till I could get transferred to full time. But at this point, I don't know how long that's going to take because we're coming out of our busy season. But because this is part-time work, I only get it so much just a week. And it's almost just like right where I'm at, back to being on disability, which means that I'm not able to take care of everything that I need to take care of. And unfortunately, I'm not the only one in this country that's in this situation. So for those that want to continue to advocate to try to fix these issues, good for you. I hope you do succeed at getting the government to listen and try to fix these issues so that we can function better, even though it's technically not their job. Good for you. I hope you do it. But unfortunately, I know how the government works, which is why I'm not completely optimistic, and it's why it may seem like I'm completely negative about it. It's because I know exactly how Social Security works, and I know exactly how the government overall works. They don't have any desires to make the changes. But go ahead. If you can do it, good for you. If that succeeds, that benefits all of us in the long run. But in the meantime, please understand that life and bills don't care, and we have to have money to take care of things. That's just the way it is. Whether it be things we need or things we want, money is required. That's just it. At the end of the day, that's the way it is. And I don't know how much longer I will have my job. I hope a long time. I'm almost at 5 years, as I said. But that I don't know. I'm annoyed because of the fact that this continues to be a problem in this country. And it's so easy for other people to say well, why don't you get a job? Well, guess what? We have jobs. but we have to do better. And as for my little friend here, he wants to say hi, but I'm sorry I had to move him out of the way for a second because of the fact that he was getting a little too happy here. And anyway, I'm going to go tend to him now and see what he wants. But I thank you for listening. And like I said, to all of those of you that are advocating for trying to make sure that we have all these things available, I really do truly hope you get through to the government, because at the end of the day, the unemployment rate in this country is going to balloon even further. And it's not going to be just the ones that you hear about in the news. It's going to be a lot more. And then our country really will be a mess. So, thank you very much again for listening. And I'm sorry to ramble, but I wanted to make sure that you guys knew what was going on, because it's been a month now and things are still a struggle. And I don't know when it's going to get better. I do hope very soon, though. Thank you again for your time, as always.